So I'm here with Claudia. Claudia is amazing. She's done so many great things in her life, and she has actually documented it in her chapter in the book. And she will be talking to us today about a little bit more about her chapter, what inspired her. Like I've read your chapter, Claudia, and it was amazing. It was amazing from the first time you sent me the drafts. I'm like, it's a lot of good information that we need to have other people, other females, other males understand what happens in the industry because a lot of times we realize that we've gone through something and then there's somebody else who's going through something similarly. And we don't realize how much of an impact we can have on them just by trying to save them some of that, you know, pulling and tugging and all of these not so great things that happen in the industry. And I love that you shared that openly and very elegantly in your chapter. So I'm gonna pass it to you. Tell us a little bit about your job and what you do, because you do a lot of great things.
Thank you so much, Sanya. Thank you for inviting me to talk about the book today. It was a pleasure actually to write it. And I remember when you sent me
Mhm.
the request, and I said I don't have time for this. I don't have
We
time to
never
write.
do.
But I figured, I'm gonna give it a try, right?
Hmm.
It's my story, right? It's
Yes.
20 years of my career in engineering, and I had 3 kids through my whole
Yeah.
career. I managed the two, sometimes well, sometimes not so well. So I figure I have lots of stories. I'm gonna try.
You do.
So I started writing the chapter, and I did it all in one sitting. One
That is
sitting.
amazing because
I
you
did
have
not
a
eat.
very nice chapter.
I did not drink. I did not go out. I canceled all the appointments I had, and I had to stay there until I finished because once you get
Hmm.
started, the
Yeah.
brain goes on automatic. So,
Hmm.
so I talked about my first few years of engineering in Colombia in
Yes.
South America, and then the move to Canada, and then became a pipeline engineer. I was at a
Hmm.
pipeline company for 16 years in Alberta, Canada. And
Hmm.
then I had my 3 kids during those years working. And so many things happened to me, and I thought I
Yes.
was the only person going through this.
Yes. As
It's
we
just
usually
me.
do.
It's just me, right? But apparently, it happened to a lot of people, like exactly the same experience. The
Yeah.
system is the same. We are
Hmm.
entering a system that is not quite ready, for us.
Yes.
And I poured it down all on paper. I
Oh,
switched
yeah.
careers actually. I
Hmm.
switched careers partly because of those issues that
Right?
happened in my engineering work. And eventually you reach a point where you're like, I can do more. Like I
Yep.
can do more. If the system is not quite ready for me, I'm gonna make
Hmm.
my own system.
Yes. That is it.
So I switched careers from pipeline construction to teaching, actually,
Mm,
pipeline construction. So
nice.
after 16 years of doing the thing, I'm going to
Hmm.
spend the next 16 years teaching the thing.
Yes, getting the next generation ready.
And then I opened the nonprofit. So I opened the
Hmm.
Women in Engineering Summit Limited, West
Right.
Limited, because when I switched careers, I realized how easy it is for a woman to quit
Hmm.
uh, field of
Yes.
STEM. Science, technology, mathematics, engineering is easy because the system is so difficult to go through
Hmm.
that we switch to a place that wants us, right? A place that
Yeah.
welcomes. So we don't want people to leave. We want them to stay.
No.
So that's what the nonprofit is all about. We host summits every year to try
Hmm.
to deliver those practical solutions for women to stay in their careers. I mean, the career pays very well. It pays very well.
Yeah.
It's very stable.
Hmm.
We do creative projects and we
Yeah.
have power, right? I think we need to find a way to make the system better.
Hmm.
And in the meantime, for women to have solutions
Yes.
so they can stay in this career for life.
Yes, because I know one of the things you talked about in your chapter, and like I didn't realize it until I read it. You said that a lot of women in engineering, they leave after 5 years and they
Yeah.
go into something completely different. And I'm there and I'm thinking back on my 5 year path, and I'm like, oh my God, that was the time I wanted to quit and I wanted to leave. It's just that little gap. And the way that you explained it in your book, in your chapter, it's very eye-opening because you did some very interesting things to sort of counter that and to realize what was going on. And I think it was so important that you put that in there because sometimes we don't realize we're falling for what happens in the system, like what is regular with the system, and we don't even know. It's designed for that. And we're just falling off with that. And that's not how it's supposed to be. We need to change the
Yeah.
system. I love that.
We are the fish. The fish
We
are not
are.
supposed to change the ocean. The
Yes.
ocean is supposed to change.
Yes. I like that analogy. But tell
Yeah.
us why, like, what I know, and you, first off, hats off for writing that entire chapter in one go, because it is a very good chapter. Why did you write that chapter? Why, like, when you started thinking about it and you started going through the motions, you're like, why did you write and, make sure that you got all of that down on that day, that very long day that you had? What I know, and the title of your chapter is Through It All, the Why Was My Motivator, which I love,
Yeah.
absolutely love. So why did you write the chapter?
When I started writing the chapter, I had already been hosting the
Mm-hmm.
Women in Engineering Summit
Yes.
for a few years. And I think it was a desire to tell my story.
Right.
That's why I organized that nonprofit for
Mm-hmm.
people to share their stories and to
Yes.
help other people, right? So when you came with the book request, it seemed natural.
Yes.
It was, oh yeah,
Everything lines
look,
up at the right
another
time.
opportunity to share my story. I just never thought it was gonna be so fast to write it so
Mm-hmm.
fast
Yes.
because I figure I'm gonna just, how you say the brain dump. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
gonna do brainstorming,
Yes.
put everything in paper, and then I will
Mm-hmm.
organize it and I will
Mm-hmm.
edit it, right?
Yes.
But but I had told that story so many times
Ah.
to my mentees, shared
Mm-hmm.
with my mentors. I had told that story so many times in conferences,
Ah, yes.
in presentations, in class, right? I was
Mm-hmm.
already teaching that it was normal. It was normal
Mm-hmm.
for me to share it,
Yes.
especially because it is I have so many years, right? It's
Yes.
20 years of knowledge. So you have the chance to do the perspective,
Yes. Yes.
watch my
To look
perspective
back.
in the middle of it. You already have a few years. So you're like, oh, that's why that happened.
Mm.
Oh, that's why that happened. So the thing you
Yeah.
said about the 5 year and
Uh-huh.
50 years, I actually read that in conference proceedings
Oh,
somewhere.
wow.
That it is the two times where
Mm-hmm.
women were likely to leave their
Yes.
STEM career.
Mm-hmm.
They used to call it the male-dominated careers. That's usually the
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
5. So 5 years is because you just graduated from
Mm-hmm.
university. The world looks like it's going to be
Yeah.
perfect, right? And
Always shiny.
you, yeah, you're trying to have your life and have your career and have your family, and the system
Mm-hmm.
is like,
Nope,
mm-mm,
not
mm-mm.
today.
So then they're like, forget this, right? So they
Yeah.
go somewhere. They still
Mm-hmm.
have the transferable skills, they still
Mm-hmm.
have the smarts, right? They just go wherever they're wanted. If
Mm-hmm.
you stick it out, if you
Yes.
stick it and the reason I stuck it out is because I went to my boss and asked for part-time work.
Mm-hmm.
My boss and I said, I cannot do this.
Yeah.
I need to have part-time work. I already had my second child.
Yeah.
I had been in the industry for a few years, around 4 years. It was
Mm-hmm.
perfect. Yeah. And it was harder. Like I didn't have to just do my job. I had to
Yeah.
manage the so
Yes.
job and politics. So I was exhausted. And I
Yeah.
was a volunteer. I wanted to do things outside of my work and my family. So I asked for part-time work, and I got lucky that my boss said yes,
Mm-hmm.
because he was not an engineer.
That'd be a
Um,
good thing.
accountants, they're very flexible in their work.
Yeah.
So they understood. No problem. Engineers, we have a hard time understanding physics.
Yes, we do.
So that was the first cycle, the 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got to the 15 years,
Ah,
because that's the second time
yes.
people want to quit STEM. Women want to quit STEM. It happens to men too, but
Mm-hmm.
on different timelines, actually, different timelines.
Ah, that's
So at the
interesting.
15, yeah, it's interesting. So at the 15, because the system is broken a little bit.
Yeah. Yes,
So it hurts
yes.
men too. It hurts men too. Yeah. So at the 15-year mark, I had my 3 kids. I
Mm-hmm.
had a very powerful position at work. I had my house. I had all
Mm-hmm.
these things were in place, and the system was still difficult.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh my God, I have to keep doing this. I already done
Mm-hmm.
15 years. You think it will be easier now. It's not
Yeah.
easier. Now you want to get promoted, right? You want to be a vice
Yeah.
president, be a director. So I'm like, this is still difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And then I tried to stay, like I tried,
Mm-hmm.
but it was at 15 years, you're almost like in the middle of your career.
Yes.
You have all this experience and knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
You still have another 15 years
Yeah.
or more.
To
So
go.
yeah, I have to change it now because I want to be happy in my
Yeah.
career, right?
Correct.
And that's when I switched to teaching
Mm-hmm.
because my parents were teachers, right?
Uh,
It's a normal family trait, right, to
mm-hmm.
be a teacher. And I decided to be a teacher of engineering because that's the
Mm-hmm.
other thing. I almost
Yeah.
quit. I almost
Ah,
quit.
yeah. Yep.
And I said, no, 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 no. I love engineering.
Yes.
Why should I give it up? Why should I give up
Mm-hmm.
this
Yeah.
amazing job? I just had to tweak it a
Mm-hmm.
little, make it more me. And so I switched to
Yeah.
teaching engineering, teaching
Yeah.
project management in English and
Oh,
Spanish.
very nice.
Um, and it was such a smooth transition because those were my favorite parts of the job anyway.
Right. Yeah.
The parts where I had to speak to the students, right?
Yes.
It was a smooth transition. And I also became a very active volunteer in engineering.
Yes.
So I'm in the board of directors of the
Mm-hmm.
Regulator for Engineering of Alberta.
Nice.
I opened the nonprofit for Women in Engineering
Mm-hmm.
Summit. So I'm holding on with both hands. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes,
I
definitely.
don't care what the system does to me. I'm going to stay.
Yes. I mean, need a lot more people like you willing to stay and willing to help the future generation because
Right, right.
they need the guidance and they need all of the guidance that they can get
That's
because
secondary. My primary was the love of the work. Secondary is I
yes.
stay here for the other people.
Yes, yes, to help them along because
Yeah,
sometimes they really just don't know and they don't know where to get the guidance or who they
right,
could speak to or
right.
where they can
So I'm
actually
very
get
happy. I'm very happy that you published
tangible.
the book.
I'm
Yeah,
happy
I'm
that
very
you
happy to
publish.
publish that book because now this is the book 2, right, of the
Ah,
series.
yes.
And every story written by men, women,
Mm-hmm.
all the other gender people, right? All of those stories make up your
Yes,
knowledge base, right?
it
And then you
does.
can make decisions. You can make
Mm-hmm.
decisions of what to do.
Yes. Informed decisions based on, because like a lot of times people are like, if you knew that it was so difficult, why did you go into it?
Right,
And then I'm like, because I wanted to make the change. Because we're
right.
here to make the change. We're here to, make it not so difficult or try and help the system in some way if possible. But what would you say to other people to inspire them to go into STEM or to get them to stop, if they're gonna be leaving the STEM world? Because we have a lot of people who are ready to just give it all up
Run
and
away.
yeah, say I'm not doing this. This is not happening today. No. But what will you say to them to sort of like get them to stay or to get them into the actual STEM world?
Sounds good. Well, the 2 reasons I have, Sanya, are
Mm-hmm.
very personal.
Uh-huh.
One of them is once I realize what engineering is or what
Mm-hmm.
science is, that you understand how the world works,
Yeah.
I was in.
Yeah.
I love knowing why things happen, right? I
Mm-hmm.
don't like this being ignorant
Yeah.
or being oblivious to how the world works. I want to know how the world works.
Nice.
And it happened in one of the classes where the teacher was explaining how a car rolls down a hill.
Ah,
That's physics, right? And I'm like, that's why cars, what? Nobody
Oh,
ever tells you that. Why do cars
no.
go down a hill? Why
Yeah.
not? Why do they stay and why do they start rolling? Because there's a
Mm-hmm.
magic tipping point
Yes.
where they start rolling. And I go, see, this is why I like engineering
Yes.
in the world. The second reason, I had this idea of me being the boss.
Ah. Mm.
Uh, and I wanted to be the director of a project, building,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, a high-rise building or a bridge or a giant stadium. Like in my mind, it was
Mm-hmm.
civil works, right?
Yes.
Concrete, steel. So
Mm.
those two things made it the motivation. Like that's the why. You're talking about the
Mm-hmm.
why of my title. That was the motivation to do this amazing work.
Yes.
I ended up doing pipelines, but that's exciting too.
It
Oil,
is.
oil is kind of alive
It
inside the pipe,
is.
and it wants to
Definitely.
break the pipe. So it's really
Yes.
exciting.
I don't want to
Um,
get out.
you know this lubrication
Oh,
expert,
yeah.
right? So I found it fascinating. Pipes
Mm-hmm.
move, pipes
Yeah.
bounce actually on the wave. So I found it fascinating to do the work, period. The
Yes.
money was not even a consideration.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you realize that they pay you so well,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, I can have lots of kids.
Yeah. You can do what you want.
Can have a nice house. I can have a
Mm-hmm.
nice car. I can go on vacation. So it was
Yeah.
the speed at which you make money in engineering is so fast compared to other
Although,
careers that
yes.
are female friendly.
Mm-hmm.
The pay is not as high
No.
and the work is not as exciting.
Yeah.
Um, so, so, so that was a third reason I never thought about money
Mm-hmm.
until I got into the world. So I
Yes.
tell people this, what do you love to do? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what you have to do. It's very possible that the thing you love to do falls in the
Mm-hmm.
science realm.
Yes, more than
Science.
likely. More than
Yeah,
likely.
yeah, yeah. I teach undergrad students and graduate students all the time, and some of them are not sure why they're in the faculty, why they're
Yes.
in the class with me. So I ask them, so what do you like to do? They
Ah.
start telling me, and I go, yeah, that's chemical engineering.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's computer engineering.
Yeah.
That's engineering. That's
Mm-hmm.
aerospace engineering. So they're
Ah.
like, oh, so there's an engineering for everything? Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there is.
And
There
if you
is. You
don't like
better
engineering,
believe
go
it.
to science, go to technology, go to
Yeah.
math. So I find it that pretty much everything they love to do
Mm-hmm.
has to do with physics or chemistry.
Yep.
They just never
They
realize
don't
it.
know it. Yeah.
No, they don't. So I think it's a very fruitful career, a
Mm-hmm.
very career with a lot of power and money.
It is.
But is mostly the pleasure of doing fun work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Not a big fan of paperwork, not at all.
I don't
I
know
don't
anybody
really
that
like
is.
accounting. I don't like accounting.
Oh, I don't either. What
I had
either?
to do it because I was a project manager,
Yeah.
but I love the construction part and
Okay,
the
yes.
design part. I have to do the accounting because it's part of the whole budget. But,
Yeah, but
but
yeah, I stay away from that part of it. I don't do that. I do not do that. But
no, some people love it, and I hire people who
I'm,
love paperwork, and they
I'm
love it. They
glad for
hated
them.
design, they hated construction, but they love accounting. So that's what I want to tell people, especially
Mhm.
women, because
Yes.
the world is full of problems, Sanya,
Ah, yes.
and
So
the only way to
many.
solve them is to
It's
have
a
enough
start.
women in science.
Mm-hmm.
We have the
Yeah.
same problems over and over and over. The
Yep.
fact that we still have dirty water,
Yeah.
that drinking contaminated water around the world is stupid.
Yep.
We
I
solved
agree.
that problem 100 years ago, 200 years ago. What is the thing? So I think it's because we're missing the other half of the world,
Yep.
the women.
Mm-hmm.
We're
The
missing the other half
woman.
of the world. Yeah,
Yep.
because
I
women,
agree.
they have new solutions. They
They
have new
always do.
perspectives.
Always do. Think in a
So
different way.
yeah, so we need more women to balance this perspective.
Yes.
Now we have more than men and women. We have all the genders, right? So
Mm-hmm.
all those perspectives are going to solve
Yes.
the problem and to solve the problem forever.
Yes. And
So
that's what
we
we
need
need to do.
people to get into science. Yeah, yeah. We need people to get into science because their perspective is going to solve that problem that nobody has been able to solve
Yeah.
for 100 years.
Because
Um,
we've been missing you. That's what it is. Missing
Different
you
views,
and
different
your unique
offer the world in a different way.
perspective. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that would be my advice to
Nice.
get into them, even if you are not sure, because I know people don't like to enter because they're not good at math.
Mm-hmm.
Have
You
to be
don't
good at
need
math.
that.
You have to be a good student.
Yeah.
And then they can change careers if they want.
Yes, totally
Yeah,
up to them. But I
yeah,
think, like, I love what you said there, Claudia. Like, we really need to get more diverse opinions and, just having more diverse people in these, areas that have not been very diverse in the past. Because guess what? Just like you said, if they haven't solved the problem, then we're looking at it wrongly, or we're not looking at it from a fresh perspective or from a diverse perspective or thinking about it differently. So I think
totally.
that's so important. And it's definitely something that we need to get behind for all of these STEM careers because there's so many things out there that we need to change, and having those diverse perspectives, that's where it starts. That's where we start making the changes because we want the solutions. We don't want the problems at the end of the day. Yeah. But thank you so much for your time today, Claudia. I know you're a busy lady, but I've loved chatting with you finally, and that
Bye.
we got to do this. If you haven't checked out Claudia's chapter in the book, you're in for like a surprise
Chapter
because she
19.
gives,
Chapter
yeah,
19.
chapter 19, because she gives so many great workarounds that I would have never thought about in her chapter, and she details it. So you definitely need to check that chapter out because she poured her heart and soul and did not eat for the day. So you definitely need to check that out. Thank you so much for your time, Claudia. And we will be talking soon. Very, very soon. So
Thank you.
thank
Bye.
you. Bye.